In the autumn of 1888, London's East End became the hunting ground of a killer who was never caught. He mutilated 5 women, taunted police with letters written in blood-red ink, and vanished from history entirely. This is the story of Jack the Ripper, and why, over 130 years later, we still don't know who he was. Whitechapel, in the late Victorian era, was a district bursting at the seams, where poverty pressed in on every doorway and hunger shaped the rhythm of each day. Casual labour meant unpredictable wages. When work failed, cheap gin promised brief warmth and a way to forget. Families crowded into single rooms, beds rented by the night, and women often shouldered the burden of survival in a system that left them few choices. Prostitution in Whitechapel was less a profession than a last resort, a transaction born of economic desperation and the need for shelter. The streets were loud, alive and vulnerable. Alleyways with poor lighting, overstretched police, and an ever-churning population of migrants and day labourers. Crimes were common, but resources for protection were not, and fear tended to travel faster than the truth. It was here, in this maze of courts and courts within courts, that a series of murders would expose the fractures of a city and captivate an empire. To understand the horror, we have to understand the ground it grew from, not monsters conjured from shadows, but human lives pressed to their limits. In Whitechapel, safety was a hope, not a guarantee, and when the killings began, the neighbourhood became a symbol, not only of violence, but of a society struggling to see and protect its most vulnerable. The stage was set. Historians generally identify 5 victims as the Ripper's canonical murders, a grim sequence traced across the East End. Mary Ann Nichols was found in Bucks Row on August 31st, 1888. Discovered in the early hours, she had been attacked swiftly in darkness, the brutality suggesting a killer who worked with alarming confidence. Annie Chapman was killed on September 8th behind 29 Hanbury Street. Her injuries were more extensive, indicating an escalation and fueling the impression of a murderer learning or daring more in each attack. On September 30th, Elizabeth Stride was found on Berner Street. Some believe the killer may have been interrupted as the pattern of mutilation differed, raising debate that still persists. Less than an hour later, Catherine Eddowes was murdered in Mitre Square. The speed, proximity, and ferocity stunned investigators, and the injuries suggested the killer had some anatomical knowledge, or at least a practiced hand. Mary Jane Kelly was killed on November 9th in the single room she rented at Miller's Court. Unlike the others, Kelly died indoors, allowing more time and privacy, and the brutality reached its terrible peak. Across these cases, patterns emerge in time, geography, and method, but each woman's story remains distinct, rooted in the choices and constraints of her life. Witnesses reported fragments, glimpses of figures, snatches of conversation, but nothing conclusive. The record is a patchwork. Constables' notes, inquests, and press accounts that sometimes clarified, sometimes distorted what truly happened. Taken together, the 5 murders chart a short, shocking season of violence that still challenges investigators and historians. The facts are stark, the unanswered questions many. From the start, the investigation faced obstacles time could never fully repair. Scotland Yard mobilised quickly, more patrols, plainclothes officers and night watches. But the killer stayed a step ahead. Investigators chased leads through lodging houses and pubs, sifting rumour from testimony in a district crowded with fear. Then came the letters, the notorious "Dear Boss" note, written in red ink, boasting of what was to come. Whether authentic or a cruel hoax, the correspondence fed a media firestorm and gave the killer a name that would endure. More chilling was the "From Hell" letter, sent to George Lusk of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, accompanied by half a human kidney. Doctors debated whether it matched Catherine Eddowes' missing organ. Certainty proved elusive, and the anxiety it stoked was very real. The press amplified panic, turning every whisper into a column inch and drawing crowds to crime scenes before the police could secure them. Jurisdictional lines, Metropolitan Police on one side, City of London Police on the other, complicated coordination just when unity was needed most. Forensics, as we know them, did not yet exist. No fingerprints, no DNA, and little understanding of preserving trace evidence. After the Eddowes murder, a bloody apron piece led police to Goulston Street, where chalk graffiti was found nearby. Amid fears of anti-Semitic violence, a senior officer ordered the writing erased before it could be properly photographed or analysed. In the absence of hard science, pattern recognition and witness canvassing were the primary tools, and they were not enough. Despite raids, interviews and public appeals, the killer blended back into the city, as anonymous as any other night walker in the fog. Files thickened, answers did not. Over the decades, investigators and authors have put forward many names. A few recur as the prime candidates. Montague John Druitt was a barrister and schoolteacher who died by suicide in December 1888, shortly after the last canonical murder. Some senior officers later hinted at his guilt, but hard evidence is thin, and the timing alone cannot prove a connection. Aaron Kosminski, a Polish-Jewish immigrant living in Whitechapel, was later committed to an asylum, cited in period notes as a suspect. Modern controversy centers on a shawl said to bear Eddowes' blood and Kosminski's DNA, but chain of custody problems and methodology disputes divide experts. Francis Tumblety, a traveling American quack doctor, was arrested on unrelated charges and fled to the United States amid the panic. He fit some contemporary descriptions and boasted of anatomical specimens, yet no direct link to the murders has ever been established. Walter Sickert, the artist, was later accused in popular books, but most scholars find the case speculative and the evidence circumstantial at best. In each instance, the theory depends on inferences that struggle against missing records, biased memories, and the fog of time. No confession, no definitive forensic tie, and no single narrative that fits every verified fact. The result is a gallery of possibilities and a persistent uncertainty that keeps debate alive. The Ripper case endures because it sits at the crossroads of modern media and policing, the birth of tabloid crime coverage and the early stirrings of criminal profiling. It seeded an industry of Ripperology, but beneath the theories are 5 lives too often reduced to footnotes. Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly were daughters, friends, and neighbours before they were headlines. Remembering them as people, not puzzles, brings the story back to where it began. A community under strain and 5 women who deserved safety and dignity. If you want more of history's darkest unsolved mysteries, subscribe. I break down a new case every week.